All right, the next drag and drop type modeling stuff that we're going to look at to make you faster and better is with mating. Mating is pretty fast, just using the standard mating tools, but can be faster if you know some mating shortcuts. So there's a couple of ways to do this. One way is if the part is already open in another window, and another way if the part is already in this assembly. So let's do this. Let's open up this part in its own window, and let's do a tile vertically. So I've got this file in its own window. I've got this assembly over here, and I want to get this part into that assembly. Well, I can just grab and drag and drop it over into that window. But if I pay attention to what I grab and what I drag and drop, it can, or it will, make a difference, and I can get mates on the fly. So if I grab a hold of a flat face and drag and drop over into here, if I just drop it in nowhere space, it's just going to do nothing. But because I grabbed a flat face and dragged it into this assembly, it wants to mate with another flat face. It wants to mate coincident to another flat face. And as soon as I float over another flat face, it will snap and mate. And that's what the little symbol next to my cursor shows me, the two planes lined up with each other, a coincident mate. So just by watching what you grab and where you drag it can get you a mate. If you grab a cylinder and drag and drop it, right, it wants to mate concentric to something. So there, or concentric to that, or concentric to a hole. And then the ultimate, I need to edit that. The ultimate is if you grab a circular edge. If you grab a circular edge and drag and drop over, it now wants to snap coincident and concentric to another circular edge. So I can go here, I can go here, I can go there. It's giving me two mates, and the way I know it's going to give me two is because of the little icon for the pin in the hole. That's a concentric and a coincident. I'm going to let go with that, and there's that guy made it into place. If I go and look, there's the mates that got put on the concentric and the coincident. So that's great if you've got it open in its own window. But a lot of times you may put the parts right inside your assembly, and then you want to mate them in place. Well, we can do this fast mating also that way. This is actually called smart mates, or people call it alt drag mating. Right? Either way is the same thing. The trick here is you need to be able to see everything that you want to mate from and mate to without having to stop and rotate in the middle. So you need to get your parts positioned and oriented to where you can see everything. I know I want to take this edge and drop it on this edge, or I know I want to take this hole and drop it on this hole, right? You need to see everything. And then you hold down the Alt key. So before, when it was in its own window, I didn't have to hold down anything. I just grabbed something and drag and drop. When it's in the same window, like these parts are, I need to hold down the Alt key to do this smart mating. You need to get zoomed in enough so that you can actually see what you're going to drag from and drop onto. People, will stay zoomed way out, and you'll have a hard time doing that. So get zoomed up, and then you hold down the Alt key, grab that circular edge, and start dragging. You'll know this is working for you when your part turns transparent and you get a little paper clip next to your icon, your cursor. And then it now wants to mate to some circular edge because I grabbed a circular edge. So any circular edge I float over, it's going to snap into place. Float over this one, float over that one, right? Whatever circular edge you've got. Now, once you get it where you want it, like let's say I do want it right here, but it's backwards. I've still got my left button held down. I've still got my Alt key held down. I can let go of Alt now, and I can go hit Tab. And Tab is going to do your aligned and anti-aligned conditions for the mate. Flip it either way. If you want to mate to another location, like no, that's not really where I wanted it, you don't have to hold Alt down anymore because you've already started the smart mate stuff. So I can just move to another location, and it still understands that I'm mating. So really the Alt key only has to be held down when you first start dragging. Once you snap to something, you can then snap to other things. And then Tab key would flip this forward and flip this backwards. So I just Alt, drag, and drop from one circular edge to another circular edge, and I am done. That guy is locked in there. We'll do the same thing on this red shaft. So an Alt, I could Alt, drag, and drop the cylinder into there, but ultimately I want this little snap ring groove here lined up. So let's get this part over here, and let's get zoomed up so we can see what we want. This is the trick to doing this right, is getting zoomed up and positioned the way you want. And I'm going to grab this circular edge and Alt drag it to that circular edge. And now that snap ring groove is lined up right where I need that to be. That shaft can just rotate. With the lid, this lid here is ultimately going to need 3 mates probably to hold this in place. The most you can do with this Smart Mate Alt Drag tool is 2 mates. So, pick the one that's going to get you the most bang for your buck, like mating this edge to this edge, because that's going to get you your 2 mates. And now this guy just spins. Your last mate could be face to a face, it could be hole to a hole, however you want to mate this. I'll just Alt Drag the face to the face. And then, now if there's a question, it'll pop up the standard mating toolbar and ask you, are you sure you want coincident? Maybe you want parallel, maybe you want perpendicular. So you can use Alt Drag for other stuff. Mostly it's used for concentric and coincident, but it can be used for other stuff if there is any confusion, like any possibilities of anything else. When you grab the circular edge and drag and drop, there's no other possibilities, so it doesn't pop up this toolbar. So I can make it parallel or I can make it coincident. Once you start doing Alt Drag mating, or what they call it smart mating, you'll probably never go back to regular mating except when you're going to do a special mate, like a width mate or a gear mate or something. It's a very, very fast way to mate parts into place.